All right. Hi, Brittany. I'm Marlie. I'm one of the naturopaths here at Morlife. Thank you for coming today. It's really nice to be able to collaborate with you and see what kind of cool things we can create in the kitchen.
Definitely.
I can't wait to try it.
Me too. Thank you for having me. So I suppose today what I wanted to have a chat to you about was gut health, because I have had so many gut problems myself over the past few years, and I got to a point where I actually thought that my symptoms and everything was normal, and that the pain I always felt was something that everyone else felt as well. And it wasn't until I actually learned about gut health that I realised I had a problem. So I suppose I just wanted to ask you a few questions about it and get your opinion and maybe get your advice on how we could help some other people if they have the same symptoms.
Okay, cool. Well, to start with that, so as a naturopath, we often ask a lot of really weird questions. We're not going to do a consult today,
No,
but I would really like to know, so a little bit about your story with what happened with your gut journey, so I can kind of see where you were coming from.
Definitely. So I, every time I would eat food, I would be in so much pain. It would be like a stabbing pain in my stomach. And that would go on every single time I ate. And I would wake up feeling really fit and healthy for the day, and I'd go to bed being so bloated and inflamed, and I was just like, oh, must just be because I've eaten too much today, not thinking that it was anything else. And also I suffered really bad anxiety. So for me, that really got to me, and I literally couldn't do anything because I was always anxious and having panic attacks. So I suppose they were my biggest symptoms. The reason why I wanted to do something about it in the first place.
Okay, cool. So when you're talking about pain, where, like you say, in your stomach, so was it literally just under your
it was
ribcage?
A stabbing pain where if I touched it, I would have to I can't even describe what would happen. It was just such a stabbing pain. It was like someone had stabbed me with a knife. I suppose, it was in my stomach, but it's kind of
going up and down
it's
and
kind
around?
of all in that area.
All right, cool. Because often when people have pain, I can see that there's two ways it can happen. So there's the stomach itself, or it can be the large or small intestine as well. But a lot of the time it's actually the large intestine that causes the most grief. And that can happen from an imbalance of bacteria, which is probably where that was going with your gut health. But I also think that it can be food intolerances as well. So my personal story is that with gluten, if I eat 2 slices of bread, I can actually palpate the bolus of food moving through my large intestine, and it hurts. So I know that gluten, bread in particular, is really not good for me. So that could be something that was going on for you as well, like food intolerances, which tend to go in hand with having an imbalance in bacteria. So what kind of questions did you want to ask?
Okay, so I just want to know, on your opinion, why is gut health so important, and what happens if it is out of balance? What are the symptoms that people might have if there's something going on?
Okay, so probably the biggest thing that I find with gut health is exactly what you've experienced, that there's such a strong connection between the health of your gut and the health of your mind, and often those two go hand in hand. And that's because when you have a imbalance in either one of those, they need to work together to actually operate properly. So if you have a problem with cognition or with depression, anxiety kind of picture, often that can be because you don't have the, this I'm going to need to explain. Let's see. So we have the gut lining. And the gut lining is really important for maintaining a barrier between the food, which is kind of like an open environment that travels through our body. And then we've got a lining that then protects the body from the kind of pathogens, I guess, so bacteria and viruses and all that kind of stuff. So what tends to happen is that when there's inflammation in the gut, then that can cause separation of the cells, because you know where I'm going with this. You've had it all before, so you get what we call a leaky gut picture. So because foods can then travel through into the bloodstream, we then end up with immune reactivity towards foods that you otherwise wouldn't have had an issue with in the past. And so because the gut lining, or the gut in general, is also really important for serotonin production, what we end up with is an imbalance in that as well. And when we have not got enough serotonin, because our gut actually creates most of it, we then end up with depression, anxiety kind of picture. And you'll find that people will tend towards one or the other, or sometimes a combination of both. And then that kind of causes all sorts of problems. But then it works the other way around as well. So if you're stressed, then your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response, gets switched on, which then actually switches off your rest and digest response, which is in charge of your digestion.
Yeah.
So the two really go hand in hand. If you don't have good integrity in one, you're most likely that you've also got poor integrity in the other.
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah.
So for you, so what is it that is good for maintaining that good gut health? So you're saying about having like a good mind gut connection.
Yeah.
So you've obviously got like food that are there certain foods or supplements that you can suggest to also help with helping your gut out and like creating that really healthy bacteria in your gut?
There are. So it depends on the individual. So with what happened with you, with having a lot of pain, that pain is always associated with inflammation.
Yeah.
So looking at anti-inflammatory foods, which is really just an abundance of fruit and vegetables, healthy fats from fish as well help to reduce inflammation. But then also looking at the variety of foods that we eat, because often what happens when you have something like leaky gut is you're eating the same foods over and over again, and then you're getting immune reactions to those foods because you're eating them over and over again. But if you eat a wide variety of foods, and we're talking a very wide variety, you will find that it helps to reduce inflammation, increase your nutrient density of your diet, but then also really helps to mitigate any issues that can happen from the wrong kinds of foods.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. A big thing that I like to explain to my patients is that a wide variety of foods is actually very high.
Yeah.
It's looking at a minimum of 10 different types of foods a day over 3 days with no repetition. So every 3 days you need to eat 30 different types of food.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's where I go wrong because I eat the same thing for like breakfast every single morning. I'll have the same breakfast. Most of the time my lunches will be the same. I'll have the same sorts of snacks, and then just my dinners will be slightly different but the same sorts of ingredients.
Yeah.
So I think that might be as well like where I go wrong.
Oh,
so
of course.
That's definitely something I should implement into my lifestyle as well.
Yeah. And it's really challenging, and that's why I find going to places like farmers markets can be really helpful, because the supermarkets don't tend to have the variety that is required to actually achieve that. But I should let you know as well that does include things like herbs, you know, so your spices as well. So, but often still people tend to use like the same 5 to 10 spices in their life. So just making sure that you are experimenting all the time, which is what you do.
Something that I'm very happy to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in terms of supplements, so for me, when I went down the path of trying to heal my own gut, I got into doing things like L-glutamine supplements and collagen, definitely collagen, and also having like higher fats and everything like that as well, as well as like pre and probiotics. And something else as well, but I'm sure that will come to me. Gelatin, which is the same as collagen, but I would have like beef gelatin in the mornings. Is there any sort of supplements that you can suggest if people
for sure
want to heal their own gut or have symptoms that they might need to fix the gut linings?
So glutamine is amazing for that. I find that one's really, really helpful. I recommend it to my patients almost all the time. Most of the time they'll leave with some form of amino acid blend, and it's usually containing glutamine because it is so integral to your immune system. So glutamine is actually the food that your immune cells use to create energy. And so because the vast majority of your immune system actually lies in your gut, it really, really helps to feed them. And then also it's required for the structural integrity of the gut. So it helps to heal, but also stimulate and support the immune system, which often goes out of whack as well when we have gut issues. That's probably but everything that you said even is actually the basis of a good gut healing protocol. Probably the biggest other thing that I would say is looking at prebiotics in a way of food. So at Morlife we sell inulin and inulin plus, which is inulin and phos. And they're great products to help with that kind of thing. But also remembering that we get our fibre from our food.
Definitely.
Yeah, just making sure we're eating plenty of healthy food.
Wide, range of food is so important to get in that fibre.
Yeah, that's right. Because every different type of whole food has a different type of fibre in it.
Yeah.
And so then that helps to feed the different types of bacteria that require those different types of fibres.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so for somebody starting out who has no idea where to start, so I suppose the takeaway for them would be to just kind of minimise what they're having in terms of like unhealthy processed foods and get onto more of like a whole-based, plant-based diet.
Well, sometimes it's really hard to determine whether or not someone actually has an unhealthy diet because there's a lot of misinformation out there for what constitutes healthy. So I find that really hard to help people through a lot of the time because they can, a lot of people think that eating pasta and sandwiches and all that kind of stuff is actually healthy. If it's got a little bit of salad on it, then it's even better. But most of all, I think the simplest kind of information that I could share is to eat your 5 serves of fruit and vegetables.
Which not many people do. So it's very important to make sure that we do it and have a good variety as well. And more as well. So I've read quite a bit of research looking at making sure you consume 9 different types of fruit and vegetables per day, and that's considered optimal health. So if you can combine the variety with the volume, I think you've got a pretty good basis for making sure that you're actually on the right track. Definitely. So how long does the process of actually healing, or like getting on top of it, how long would that take? Is it something that can happen overnight, or is it something that you have to be, consistent with and just help the process over like weeks or months? Or
it depends on the individual. So a lot of people don't recognise that they actually have a food intolerance, and so they don't notice a difference straight away when they remove a suspected food intolerance from their diet. But then other people, if you have, say, an intolerance to dairy or to lactose, you get symptoms straight away after eating it. And then you notice that as soon as you take it out of your diet, it goes away really fast. If you're removing something like gluten, you don't actually notice any change until you've been completely gluten-free for like 6 months. So a lot of the time that process can be quite slow.
Definitely.
But I think the biggest key thing to recognize is how do you feel? And so if you're making changes and you're improving the quality of your diet, the variety of your foods, making sure you're eating enough of the right types of foods, and you should start to notice an improvement even without making any other changes, and also reducing. If you were to eat that amount of fruit and vegetables that we're talking about, you notice that you don't actually really want to eat the other foods, so they kind of get replaced. And so by doing that, you kind of feel better, and then if you feel better, then you can actually
keep going.
And that's probably the biggest thing that I notice with people is as long as they're starting to feel like they're making a positive change, then that's when it starts.
Definitely.
And then it can go on for weeks, months, and years afterwards, like the healing process.
I suppose it never really ends as well, because you eat something sometimes and you get a symptom and you know not to eat that. I suppose it comes down to being in tune with your body and how you feel when you eat certain things.
And your mind state when you're eating.
Your mind,
I've actually had patients that have such great anxiety that when they're actually eating food, they're stressed and they're not digesting anything, and they come to me with a long list of food intolerances, but really they're just stressed and they can't digest anything because they are unable to digest. And so in that case, if you just manage the stress aspect of it, the digestion actually improves on its own.
So it's not just through food, it's also through other lifestyle things like doing mindful things like meditation and just calming yourself down. To help just everything just calm down.
Anything to slow, because our lifestyle now and the way that we live is insane.
It is.
And it keeps getting faster. I feel like as I get older and as time progresses, that everything's just moving so much more instantaneously. And so you kind of feel a lot of the time that we don't physically have time to rest. But if we don't rest, then we don't actually get the opportunity to allow the body to heal and relax, which then keeps everything in balance on its own.
Definitely. I think for me that was the biggest thing that caused my gut problems was the fact that I was always on the go and I was just always stressed out, and my body just needed time to rest and recover and be able to heal itself and like, you know, absorb the nutrients that I was eating, because I was always eating, like I've always eaten quite clean for like quite a few years now, so I could never figure out what it actually was that was causing the pain. And then once I figured out that I had to incorporate more meditation and mindfulness into my lifestyle, everything changed. So it is such a big mind-gut connection.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. And it's all of them together. It's all the body systems.
Yeah.
But those two in particular are the biggest players. Yeah. And they can either be friends or enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to make them friends.
Yeah, we need to make all of our body systems friends. Yeah. That would be really good.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you. So thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Yeah.
I'm sure I'll have a few more sent through to you.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. And if anyone has any questions from your end, send them through. I'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much.
No worries at all. Thank you for having me here.